Back at Mulder's office, he can't find his prepared file, so they leave for the meeting with the bureau chiefs anyways. At the meeting, Jerry presents his profile of the killer. Scully, shocked, asks if the profile he's presenting is Mulder's profile.
Mhm.
Guess what? It is.
Yep.
Yep. So Mulder confronts him after the meeting, and Jerry is a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah, he's real smarmy. He's got like real 80s villain and like a comedy kind of vibe to him.
Yeah, it's almost like they left out the scenes where he's doing blow in the bathroom before the meeting. Yeah. So Scully gets one name from Peterson to follow up on, and they drive out to a modern ranch out in the country to speak with Brad Wilczek. He has a COS system set up at his house too. And he basically tells the Apple story. I started this company in my garage, etc.
And when he opens the door, though, when they ring the bell and he opens the door, Scully looks so like thoroughly unimpressed. Like, I get it.
Yeah. And yeah, this is just that corporate hagiography bullshit that everybody in the 90s was enamored with. This is the thing that
he even makes a phone phreaker reference.
Yes, which I was actually really kind of impressed with because like that was a real thing. But he also talks about like data travelers and like techno wizards. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
This is clearly written by people who have no idea what they're talking about.
They bought an issue of Mondo 2000 and were like, phone freaking, eh?
But also, like, I love how, I think particularly at this time, but also maybe forever, Hollywood has portrayed geniuses or supposed geniuses as like insufferable assholes.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. A lot of them are, and particularly these guys in the corporate sector, and particularly in Silicon Valley, because they have a work ethic that a lot of people don't. And a lot of it is fueled by like narcissism, but like at the personality disorder level.
Yeah, they're also libertarian.
They're super libertarians. They live in this bubble where the only other people that they engage with are other tech people. And like in the last like 20 years, a really, really sort of annoying kind of tech bro emerged where everybody was constantly like, tweaking for, productivity boosts and shit like that. That's how you ended up with like fucking food substitutes like Soylent and shit, where it was like developed by a guy who was like an applications developer who was like, well, if I measure out exactly the minerals and the nutrients that the human body needs, and I put it into this little brown slurry, then I can just choke it down in a couple of minutes and fucking program for another hour or two.
It's this like rise and grind bullshit where like people are like selling self-help books about like how to boost your productivity. I'm like, I wish you would just put a gun in your mouth.
And the thing was,
at
a certain time, like there was, it wasn't perceived as toxic as it is now. And like, even now, like there's still a shitload of people who buy into it. But like, I bought a couple of Tim Ferriss books and sort of like try to stuff out, but mostly just because he makes really, really incredibly fucking crazy claims. And it turns out that like, if you stick to his plan, his shit works, but your life sucks. Like his fucking diet is like one of the worst things I ever engaged with. Like by week 2, I wanted to fucking kill myself, but it worked.
What's his diet?
The slow carb diet.
Oh, right. There's an episode of Maintenance Phase about this, I think.
Yeah. And like the shit works, but it also like he also had this thing in the very same book that was like, if you follow this workout routine, and the whole theme of that book is minimum effective dose. So like you do as little as you need to sort of like actually achieve a particular outcome. Like you will have your lifts will go like this much bigger and you will put like this kind of body mass on.
You
like
too can have a joyless life.
But it also requires like a $300 a week supplement regimen. And so it's like, okay. This shit works.
And the ability to control absolutely everything you're doing all the time. Like if you work in an office, you can't do this bullshit.
No, but that's the thing is like a lot of these guys do work in offices and like it does, but
they also own the office.
You become the office shithead. So like, but like, and nowadays everybody, like a lot of people see through it. The only people who still really buy into this stuff are fucking blue checks on Twitter. But man. Yeah, like
I hate this world so much.
I know, but there was like a solid decade where these guys were just directing the narrative in terms of like productivity and like this is how we make the best apps. And like the fucking best apps that were coming out at the time were like the Yo app, you know, or like stupid like just
I didn't have a cell phone until like 2008, so I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the episode. Wilczek explains a really silly dichotomy here: scruffies and neats.
Oh,
and the idea being that there's two kinds of people in the commercial computing sector. There are scruffy hippie types like him who are in it for the thrill of the problem solving and advancing computer science for the sake of doing it. And the neats are the opposite. They're put together businessmen who see computing as a new money faucet.
And together they will ruin the world, literally.
Yes. So we have moved on from this as a culture, but what he is describing is the age-old struggle between the Mac and PC. It was Steve Jobs in the 90s. It was Steve Jobs versus Bill Gates. Because Jobs was perceived as
at least Bill Gates didn't steal everybody's ideas and take credit for them.
Yeah.
He stole some of them, but
yeah. And so they were sort of positioned as frenemies, but the truth is that there was no difference between them. They were the seeds from which Silicon Valley, like hyper capitalism, sprung from. A chief reason why we can't seem to get away from fascist losers like Elon Musk. But like Steve Jobs famously was sort of like portrayed in the culture as this like hippy dippy, just like we're disrupting things and we're changing the world and we're making it better and we're doing fucking yoga.
And in reality, he was a terrible, terrible man.
There is, I think, a 3 or 4
He was the Bing Crosby of technology.
He is somehow even worse than that. There's a 3 or 4 part Behind the Bastards about him that I
don't know. Bing Crosby used to like get drunk and creep into his children's bedrooms and like put guns to their head while they were sleeping. I don't know if he's quite that bad.
If your children give him lip, you can hit him with a sack of sweet Valencia oranges. It'll let him know who's boss and it won't leave a bruise. But yeah, so that was the Steve Jobs thing. But in reality, he was a fucking shithead. And in the end, like the cancer that he died from was highly treatable. They could have beaten it, but he was like, no. I got this. I'm going to drink some juice.
You know what? I'm fucking glad he died from that then. Stupid fucking loser.
And that fucking book where the picture of him like looking pensive in the fucking turtleneck, that was written by Walter Isaacson, who wrote the fucking stupid like fawning hagiography of Elon Musk also, which is why we just cannot get the fuck away from these people. Meanwhile, Bill Gates was like the other guy. He was the put together businessman. It's just that he was just stealing shit left and right. And the thing is back in the day, like before personal computing was a thing, they were all members of these like Palo Alto like computing clubs. And the thing with the scruffies, these hippie guys, is they would write software for hardware. They had like, you know, like computers and shit. And so Bill Gates comes along and he's like, why the fuck aren't we selling this stuff? And they're like, because it's software, man. Like anybody can write this, which is not necessarily, just theoretically true, but in practice, like.
Oh, I assure you it is not true in practice.
Software engineering is fucking hard, man.
I can barely use Canva.
I do it for a living. And like, there are times where I'm like, why the fuck am I still doing this? But like, that was the thing is Gates was like, no, not everybody can do this. We can do this. But there's all these people out there.
Get your head out of your ass, you idiot.
And like, if we make the computers and also provide them the software that runs on these computers, we're going to be fucking rich. And he wasn't wrong.
Well, that was a diversion.
I know, but I feel like it really kind of like, it'll help you kind of understand why, like where this episode came from. Because this is what everybody was fucking talking about in 93. So anyways, Wilczek demonstrates the COS as a smart home system. Mulder asks him who could have hacked it. And he says, not your average phone freak, which like we said was a real thing. Before networked personal computing, they hacked phone systems for fun. Brad figures out that they're talking to him because he is the top suspect. At home, Scully writes a report on Brad, positioning him as the primary suspect. And she heads off to bed. As soon as she's gone, her computer fires up the modem and transfers her report to the COS.
Hey, if she had just taken the phone off the hook, it couldn't have happened.
Mom, I'm using AOL. Yep. At work, Mulder and Scully transcribe Brad's talks about philosophy and software when Jerry shows up to apologize for stealing Mulder's work.
Real smarmy. This.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's the kind of guy you shake hands with him, and you're like, oh, my watch.
But also your hand's a little bit wet too.
Moist.
Yeah, and you hope.
You've been listening to a sample of our Patreon exclusive podcast, Do You Think I'm Spooky? For access to all our past premium episodes, go to patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod, where you can subscribe for $5 a month. Your support also gets you access to Radio Free Haddonfield, my bi-weekly DJ show for the weeks when Do You Think I'm Spooky is off. That's an extra episode of content on the weekly from your favorite podcast. We love and appreciate every one of our listeners, and your support makes this whole enterprise worthwhile. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. Sign up for the $5 tier today.